Welcome to Study Buddy, meditation philosophy for the heart of your practice. This is a live online discussion of ancient yogic texts amongst meditation practitioners in the Shambhavananda yoga tradition. My name is Acharya Satyam, resident teacher at Konalani Yoga Ashram in Hawaii, and I welcome you with love and respect. Hello, namaste. Good to see everyone. Got the whole family there in Chicago. Welcome, little ones. Welcome, little Tej Javon as well. I'm just kidding, Tej. How's it going? Colin. Well, Colin putting in the time. It's not early where he's living. Anandama, good to see you. As always, Anju, feels like you're just in the next room, you know? Shishoni, welcome. Work Study crew. Thanks for being here. Yogita. Hello, welcome. Trey, all right. Out of the woodwork, good to see you. Awesome. Gita, welcome back. And Jairam and Kazuo. All right. We'll be seeing them soon. 2 weeks or so. All right. Shani, Mahavir. Oh, cool. Mahavir, good to see you. Corey, right on. Kate, Apurva, and Devananda. Yay. All right, we're going to start with a little bit of... Did I miss something? Oh, Gabby, did I miss you saying hello? And Henry. Hey, guys. Yeah, I did miss. I'm sorry. That's my bad. Hey. Cool. We're going to start with a little bit of yoga. We do about 15 minutes of yoga. Then we get into the philosophy. So you can actually stand up. We're going to start standing. Oh, and everybody here, if you want to, you can just lean in and say hello. You can see us. Hey. In the middle of an in-person training. Very grateful. Oh, you're good, Shiva. And Shiva's over here too. All right. So we're going to start just sort of rocking back and forth in Tadasana. You can let the weight shift to the palms of the feet, the heels, back and forth a few times, and then whatever feels equal. And then we'll circle the edges of the feet a few times and feel that weight shift, especially in the heels. I find that to be a pretty unique sensation, letting the weight approach the heels. Switching direction. And you know, sometimes they say it helps you to cognitively work with your feet better if you use your hands. So bring your hands out in front of you like your feet, and then we'll do that whole series one more time. When you shift back into your heels, sort of let your palms go a little lower and you lift your fingertips. And then when you go into your fingertips, just let it mirror what you think's happening in your feet. Hey, Chaitanya. And then it'll get really cool when you do those circles, so it gets gyroscopic. Switching direction to finish. Then a little bit of toe yoga. You can try to keep your 4 toes down and lift the big toe. And you can actually help to do that with your fingers, lifting your thumb up with your big toe and keeping your other fingers down. Just lifting the big toe. Then try to do the opposite. Press the big toe, lift the fingers, lift the toe fingers. If this is my second language, that's pretty common. Speaking of which, is Pietra nowhere in here? Okay. All right, great. All right, cool. And then you can relax the hands. But we actually will keep using the arms a little bit more. You're going to sway forward, and the arms are going to gently press back, like towards an imaginary wall. You can feel the back line of the body engaging there. And then let your weight shift back and do a very small, like a 10% chair pose. And then sway back again. You're up on your toes if your balance will let you. Feel the back line evenly engage. And then like a 20% chair pose. And then you get the idea. I want you to just take your time. I'm going to make a little room here. Sort of bringing that back line online with awareness. And then as you sink into chair, it's like you have all this awareness behind you. And you're almost like sitting back into that, as we talked about today, the hammock of the back line. It catches your whole body behind you. And you can just approach I want you to approach like a 75% chair. So there's still room. This wouldn't be what you would even call your normal chair posture. You can turn the palms over to relax your shoulders, relax your neck and head, bobble head a little bit. Check in with your abdomen. You can sort of retract the abdominals into around the low back, and then keep the abdominals in as you gently bring that natural curve back to the lumbar. Great. And then from there, we'll allow the spine to waterfall over the legs. Waterfall is sort of one of the themes of that introductory Rudi image, letting your tension just sort of wash out. The inversion's a moment to let all the stuff we keep in our heads just sort of slip out and fall through the cracks. That tone we brought to our back line might help you with this easy roll up. You're going to bring a little bit of the weight into the heels and start to press down through the feet. Feel the tail sort of tucking under. You can use your hands on your thighs if you need any assistance, and try to keep that rolling up through the pelvis, the low back, and then finally the upper back, and then roll shoulders. Hey, if you need a cushion, grab it and bring it in. Yeah, rolling shoulders. You can switch it. All right. And so check out your feet, orientation. Make sure you feel balanced. You can use a chair in front of you or behind you. We're going to do really little hops. And I mean the kind where you barely leave the ground, just like this. It's just, you barely even notice I hopped, right? And I'll do that. And you're just going to start shifting to one side. And you're going to take your time getting there. And then when you get all the way 90 degrees, stop. And then to get back, you go a little bit faster. So it has more momentum. Great. And then go really slow. Let yourself go all the way to like 0 every time to the other side. And then momentum. Cool. One more time on your own. Just slow, just letting it dangle, and then feel it. Last one. I'm the only one who gets to do the sighing because I know when you're listening, it's easier, but it felt good. So let's try it one more time. Ready? Wow, that was great. All right. A little bit more on our feet. From where you're standing, we're going to step forward into the Virabhadrasana 1 stance. So let's keep that right leg down and step your left foot forward like you're taking a big step. The right foot should point almost behind or almost straight ahead. And then you can turn into the foot a little bit and find some buoyancy. You'll see my heel lifts when I do that. All right. And then come back out and then back in. So you're just going to find that little twist. Just let it be easy. Last time. You can just stay in that twist for an extra second. Good. And then we'll plant the feet down, extend the arms back and the legs, and then sweep the arms forward into an easy Virabhadrasana 1. Up the back leg, I guess, stays straight. Front leg bends, and you feel that lift through the heart. Shoulders relax down the back. Shoulders are like thoughts. They're always creeping in. They're always creeping up. And you got to consciously relax them back. Okay, relax the arms down. This is sort of, I don't know how this is going to go, but we're going to just sort of hop back to Tadasana a few times just to get all the way back there. Cool. Went pretty well. Step forward with the other foot. Can't ever tell if I'm mirroring on Zoom, so just do your other leg. We'll turn into that for a few sort of buoyancy checks. Just want to feel the spring in the legs, the spring in the stance. Can pause in one. And then extending the legs. We can just bring the arms back for a second. Extending the legs, lifting the heart, and then just bending the knee forward, scooping the arms up, and consciously releasing the shoulders down the back. Relax the neck. Relax the arms. And again, you can take your time with this. You're just going to jump sort of 1 foot at a time so you get back to Tadasana. And we'll do that same thing that we did before. Ready? Excellent. And we'll make our way down to our knees with an easy forward fold. So just bring your arms back behind you, up on your tiptoes, engaging the back line, easy chair, and then pull our spine over. Take advantage of the inversion. Use the actual experience to release tension, release thoughts, all that habitual stuff we hold on onto. Excellent. And then you can walk your hands down, find yourself in table position. Don't worry about me being able to see you on the camera. As long as you can hear me and follow along, you're good. Just got about 5 more minutes. And so just a really slow cat pose where you engage the abdominals up towards the spine, rounding the back. I'll go 3/4 for visual. And then keep the abdominals drawing in as you bring the spine to what you would feel like is neutral. So the abdominals keep pulling in, and this is coordinating. It's a coordination challenge. Now keep those abdominals pulling in and go into a baby cow pose where the back is arching a little bit, bending down towards the earth. Good. And then pull the abdominals in back up into cat. Again, keep the abdominals pulled in as you flatten the back to what you feel like is neutral. Keep those abdominals in. It is sort of a patting your belly and tapping your head thing. And then keep the abdominals drawing in and arch the back just a little bit. This should actually be what really is neutral. And you've got some tone, and you can draw. Hopefully there's a little bit of room behind you to just extend one leg. If there's not, just walk your hands forward and make a little room. Extending one leg. There's a lot of nice tone around the spine right now. So you're just going to weightlessly lift that knee that's under you just a hair off the floor. You can keep the foot on the ground if you like. Slowly, the knee comes back in. Knee behind you comes back into table. Bowing for a breath in Bhaktasana. You can stack hands, forehead on hands. Breathe into the back and even the low back. Hands come out in front of you. They drag on the floor as you kick down through the shins, rolling your spine up till you're standing on your knees. Shoulders roll back a few times. Hands turn out, and you just sort of reach back instead of grasping the hands, just sort of isometrically drawing the arms back. Don't really move, but they reach. And you feel this stretch across the heart, and then drawing the navel in consciously. Good. And then relaxing the arms down. We'll do the other side and then be wrapping up. So one time coming into a slow cat pose, feeling the abdominals into the spine, keeping the abdominals on and drawing in even as you lengthen into your neutral table. Check on your elbows, make sure they're supple, not locked out. And then you can bring a little bend to the low back so that it has that little lordotic curve in the lumbar spine. Other leg slides back. Pausing for a moment, feeling those points of contact with the floor, and then just levitating the knee off of the floor, just a 1/4 of an inch, and that'll get all the muscles firing. And I'm realizing now it would be really sweet to do pigeon. It seems so obvious, but here we are. So you're going to draw that knee forward, swivel the shin a little bit, drop the back knee behind you, stay up on your fingertips, draw the legs together. Imagine there's a tightrope that you're balancing on between the legs. So you're drawing the legs sort of towards one another and slightly towards midline. That should activate the gluteus muscles as well as that psoas in the leg that's reaching back. With all that activation, a slight lift up through the front body opens up across the back hip. Nice tone in the front glute. Shoulders have to consciously relax down and back. Back of the neck lengthens up so that we don't lift the chin. Great. And then because I know everybody wants to do it, you can relax down for just a breath. Cool. And then we can press up. And of course, we won't stop there, but we can transition through a plank pose, drawing other knee in, swiveling it just like we did a second ago, dropping back knee. Fingertips can give you that height you probably need, drawing legs towards one another and towards midline like you're on a tightrope. Shoulders have to, again, consciously relax down the back of the neck lengthens up. Front line is lengthening from the top of your back foot all the way through the front of your hip to your heart. You can feel the back line of the body slightly engaged. The glute nicely engaged, but also stretching at the same time. And then allow yourself to relax forward. Welcome to stack hands. If you feel any tension in your knee right here, recommend staying on elbows. All right. And then from there, you can actually just sort of fall over onto your side, bring the feet up, and can get ready for meditation. But of course, you're not exactly where you want to be, so you can reposition. And in fact, if you need another minute to do anything fun, go for it. Any kind of counter pose. Okay. We've got a very special class today, but special always means a lot of moving parts. So we've got some satsang clips from Swami Rujananda, recorded back in the 70s. Just a sec. I need some too. Swami Rujananda, if anybody's not familiar, you never know. Babaji's guru, and he had his ashram in Manhattan. His objective was using your life for spiritual growth. He was a siddha, an amazing yogi, beyond comprehension, and we are incredibly grateful to have him in our lineage, of course, and guiding us on a feels like on a daily basis. There probably, isn't a couple of days that go by that he's not a focal point of our practice. And this is Rudi month. It starts with Rudi's birthday and ends with Rudi's Mahasamadhi, and it's about a month long, where it's just sort of charged up with a lot of energy. Our teacher training just happens to be falling right in the middle of it. So, lucky. And so I wanted to do something special for it. So we went and found some audio songs that felt really, powerful and pertinent and important, and put them into a format that we could share together. And then something that we don't usually do that I wanted to try was taking a little bit of a break during the satsang. Sometimes it's just like so much information, you just like overload by like 8 minutes in. So we're going to be about 2.5 minutes in, I think, or 3 minutes in. There's a natural breaking point, and then there's just going to be a little bit of quiet time, maybe a little bit of guided meditation. And then we actually might just take a second to review some of the stuff that he said. Ideally, when you're working with the satsang from Swami Rujananda, you're not really worried about listening to the words as much as you might if like someone was talking in a lecture. You'll hear what you need to hear every time. You will hear what you need to hear. You sort of almost want to let the words speak right to your heart. Ideally, you're listening from a meditative state, and you're allowing the Shakti of this siddha to actually work on you much like a mantra would. So any questions before we listen? Anyone online? Okay. So let's see how this goes. All right. So first I'm going to share the screen. I've enabled closed captions because it can be challenging sometimes to understand them because of the recording. But again, it's not really the purpose, but I wanted everybody to, have a chance to learn in their own way. So let me see a thumbs up when you can hear the audio, okay?
The time for me.
Excellent. Okay, cool. So we're set, and now we can just get centered. So find that centered position, neither forward nor back, neither left nor right, somewhere in this buoyant center. The first finger and thumb can touch, palms up or down, shoulders consciously relaxed. Back of the neck is long. And with each breath right now, just imagine like you're making some room for something special. You're making room with your conscious breath. Feel the space in your breath, feel the space in your heart. Feel the space that's just around you. Make some space. And imagine the head sinking down into the heart space. Imagine listening from the center of your chest. And we'll begin.
This particular time, I've told you, has tremendous meaning for me, and it was told me 30 years ago. And I guess what I was 33 and a half years ago was the first time that I knew about it. And it's very hard to work towards a particular objective and not really understand, but still having it as an objective, for me, always gave me a sense, like one with a barometer, of looking at the scale and trying to feel the direction I was going. And when we do work, it has to be in a sense of surrender and in a sense of being open for change. These changes never come in any way that has to do with the direction we are looking. If we look to the right, it comes always to the left, because you in no way, are supposed to be preparing to see God's face. And it's the symbol on the highest spiritual level that exists on every level. And it's always this preparation of people with their consciousness that really stops a very real and deep growth from taking place. Because these things work on different levels than the levels of the mind. And because of that, the things that we surrender and the things that we should be prepared to surrender are totally different. And as such, have nothing to do with our own will. And so when you hear this, very well used phrase of it is God's will, it's really true. Because if you surrender your will and you're working for this higher creative energy, then it is its will. And we are working not to be ourselves, but really to attain the state of being, that we are that which can open and allow something of the higher nature to come through us. And endlessly, as people approach any sort of realization. They become filled with themselves. And then they inflict their will. And this, of course, is the one thing in the world that's totally dangerous, to be under anyone's will. And 20 some years ago when I started, I swore never to be involved in this. And I certainly have no indication of going in that direction, because this past couple of months have been an extraordinary example of this higher will or higher forces working. And it's been at times very, very difficult. But if you wish, to understand, then you really have to surrender and let this whole structural thing within yourself change. And you have to squeeze something out of a sponge to allow it to open again and something else to come into it. And it's continually the taking in and changing of your energies and the molecularity within yourself that has to do with your growth.
Just taking a minute to absorb. And trying to maintain that inner connection. We're going to listen to some more. And in this next segment, Rudy's going to talk a little bit about the tension release practice. For some people, this might be new, slightly new. So I wanted to take a moment just to guide the tension release practice so that when he starts talking about it, you feel like you can do it, because he talks about it, but he doesn't teach it. And so the tension release practice is a way that we sort of flush out residual tension that can't be burned up through our practice. And the way that it was taught by Rudi is you bring your hands out to the sides of the body, fingertips just above the floor. Swallow and take a slow breath in for 5 to 10 seconds. Nice and slow. You really got to take your time. And then you hold the breath in the heart for that same length of time and create no tension. You don't have to go for any longer than you're good with. And then you slowly exhale for that same length of time. So that pranayama is the foundation of the practice. And then you add the visualization on top. Every time you inhale, you're visualizing crystal clear prana flowing in through the third eye, down the throat, and into the heart. The most crystal clear, pure energy you can imagine. As you hold your breath in the heart, that prana circulates through you, picking up any kind of grime or debris, any kind of leftover. And as you exhale, a smoky or ashy substance flows out of the heart, down the arms, and out the palms and fingertips. And so the pranayama and the visualization sort of persist together. And then the last level is when you're holding your breath in the heart, when you get to that point, you can say silently to yourself, I deeply wish to surrender all negative psychic tension. And then you really try to feel it go. After your next exhale, you can flick out the fingertips and wipe off the arms. It's always nice to take a little break after a few repetitions of the tension release practice. But as he begins to talk about it, feel free to revisit the practice and do the practice while he's talking.
So our whole exercise is this thing of opening, letting the force come in, bringing it up our spinal column, and filling us. And then also doing, you should do this at least once a week, or if you're under very great tension, every day for a few minutes, just really keeping your hands outside and asking deeply to surrender negative psychic tensions. So when you begin to feel this flow coming through your fingers and you take a deep breath, you can feel this gummy substance. It's like the scum off the top of a soup coming through you. And it really has to do with the breaking down inside of patterns and the molecular glue, this thing that holds together these patterns in you. You allow this to wash out so that you have made the effort. You have paid so many times in your life, all of you, for a particular thing, and you grow, they say, from here to the ceiling, and you ripped everything out, and it's been shredded, and then you stop working, and a month later, this thing is all back within itself. It's always back to the way it was because you have never gotten rid of this cohesiveness and this adhesiveness that holds you together in these patterns. So when you work, you have to surrender this byproduct of breaking down, which has to do with the chaining, the molecularity of your chemistry. Because what good is it refining something and then have life do like it does with a jar of salad dressing? It shakes you up again, and it all becomes the same thing endlessly. So you have to begin to be very aware deeply in yourself that changing is not for an objective, it is for changing. Because as you break down, that within you, within your tissue, within your whole body, these chainings take place, the breaking down of these chains, and you let out just enough of this tense energy, this negative psychic tension. You don't get rid of tensions, you don't get rid of psychic tension, you get rid of negative psychic tension. You're getting rid of this little glue that holds this thing within you. And your work has to be consciously, again and again, to take in more energy, expand, and then break it down and release it. So that in the middle of a very hard day or week or tremendous emotional time, you are suffering and burning out or boiling, and you feel all of these things ripping and tearing in you, and you don't get rid of this byproduct, this stuff, then your work is for nothing. Because it will reform exactly as it was over and over and over again. And you see this in outside life, where people repeat patterns endlessly. They learn that they're wrong, they consciously can see where they're wrong, but they never, ever get free from patterns. And it's not their wish, it's their limitation. They do not break down this glue that holds them. Because inside you, it stays the way it was, except it becomes free. It becomes a liquid instead of a solid. But when you really ask to release these negative psychic tensions, you are taking and changing the chemistry of this level. And so it never forms again, and you are open, you're free. And you must remember to do it. I mean, I had somebody came by today, and I could feel the tension, and I said, look, I know you've had a very hard time. Have you done this? Oh, I haven't done it for 6 or 7 weeks. You put a pressure on yourself which is absolutely unnecessary. And if you have to leave a note on your dresser, or when you shave or wash in the morning, and you really ask yourself, as well as you flush a toilet to get rid of this physical poison that comes through your body, you have to consciously flush out of yourself this negative psychic tension. This is part of the breaking down of your living. And unless you understand that nothing ever disappears from a human being unless he consciously surrenders it. It does not go away. You have to really will it away. You have to consciously work it away. And so when you have a very difficult time, you can really make an effective change thousands of times faster by really surrendering, this molecular thing. And I sat this week sometimes for 2 and 3 hours because I was burning. And I really just let this thing pour out of me. Sometimes I could feel it pouring out. Sometimes I felt it was pouring out. Sometimes I just wished it was pouring out. But I just was trying in every way possible to let it out. And really, finally, it changed today. And as these things change, you understand, as you work deeper and deeper and deeper inside yourself, that it has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with me. It has to do with it. It is a state of being that we're working towards. And it keeps you boiling long enough. It keeps you baking long enough. It keeps you going through all these processes long enough. You can only be prepared to be released at certain times. Now, released on what level has to do really with the consciousness and your ability, and I'll let you sit. You don't do this thing. You have to sit inside yourself and really understand that you want that. That's your objective, And you can only bring in and flush out and bring in and flush out until you refine your inner mechanism.
Welcome to flick off the fingertips and wipe off the arms. And taking a moment to just draw the attention back to the heart. Well, it's so easy. Well, not easy, but after this many years of being in the ashram and seeing Rudy's picture, hearing his voice is like being enveloped in his energy, and it's just really special. So if you have a connection, with Swami Rajananda, just sort of basking in that for a moment. And if you don't have a connection yet, or if that's sort of something foreign to you, just know that this is one of the founders of the ashram and the core of our tradition, and so it's just for that reason alone, it's something you can really trust in. So as usual with our conversation or our discussion, it's nice to give ourselves a chance to reflect. And so hopefully you have a pen and paper with you. If you don't, no. If you don't, it's okay. You can just like I'll instruct that one. It's sort of funny, but it works. Uh and there is some stuff here. But just taking 2 or 3 minutes to sort of be with what was given. It goes quickly, but simultaneously it's extremely rich. Maybe your experience with tension release or your experience with surrendering your individual will, if you remember some of those points, or just where it landed for you. And so we'll just take a couple minutes. Yeah, I did make some. You want to go over those? It's sort of a lot. Okay. I'm hearing from my producer that we should do this one other thing before we do that because I took some time to actually break down what Rudy was talking about into some key points. We don't usually do that. It's sort of I don't know, it's different. But I thought it could be fun. And she said, "Hey, do it now before we write. So let's try it and then we'll write." So let's see how this goes. You guys can let me know if it worked for you later. So here it is for people in the room. And I know it looks like a lot, but I'll just sort of summarize. And it doesn't really matter if if you remember them or know them. It's just sort of a way of saying, here's what was brought up. Um, he started by talking about the challenges of working towards an objective. He said it's hard to work towards an objective when you don't sort of know what the end product is, yet you have to do this work. Um, I thought, that's something that we're constantly being faced with. Like you're doing a Sankalpa, for example, and maybe Babaji didn't tell you how long to do it, and it's just like you just keep showing up. Or maybe you're working through something or working towards some goal, but you're not sure when it's going to be attained. Just the idea of putting your one foot in front of the other. He said that surrender is always comes with the unexpected. He said you'll be expecting it from the left, this thing that's going to your challenges, and then it comes from the right. And that there's something really fundamental about surrender, that it's always unexpected. He said you're never supposed to like anticipate seeing the face of God, I believe is how he put it. It's like you really just have to be ready and open. And that, of course, a theme for is, oh, it's always beyond the conscious mind. And that really a lot of our work is in preparing to surrender, preparing to open up, as the Shiva Sutras actually tell us. Then there is this concept of God's will and the individual will, and how we sort of have to let go of our own will in order to start to grasp what's really going on, this bigger concept that we're working with. And that there's like a structural change that takes place within us. Um, he said you have to literally be squeezed like a sponge so that you can release something, make some room, and then absorb this other new thing. We actually were just talking about that a lot yesterday in our teacher training, about how that's how the connective tissue and the cells and the capillaries sort of work together in the same way. We talked a lot about using your practice so that you can actually open up to this force that's going to squeeze us like a sponge. It doesn't come from our head. We actually have to open and allow it to happen. And that this is a rare opportunity for anyone to rise above themselves, as he put it, and that it's what leads us to a joyous and beautiful life, which is always the best thing about our practice, is that we're constantly reminded about that's the real goal. And then the second reading, he once again talked about opening up to this force. Sorry, okay. I'm getting this. Keep it moving, keep it moving. All right, opening up to the force within us. That there's a frequency of our practice. This is when we talked about tension release. Just curious, how often do you do tension release? I would love for us to be able to share. Uh, when do you do it? Rudy said it should be, I believe he said weekly or daily when you're going through a lot. He said someone came to him and he'd been going through a lot of stuff and for 7 or 8 weeks. And Rudy was like, "Well, were you doing tension release?" And he was like, "No." He's like, "Well, you just put an unnecessary amount of pressure on yourself." And that when we do our work, we break these patterns down, but that there's this molecular glue that will slowly reassemble them if we don't release it. And if I heard it correctly, there's a pretty fun, quick analogy in there about salad dressing. Did anybody else hear salad dressing? It might have just been me, but I'm pretty sure he said the salad dressing. He's like, it's like salad dressing. It's like you do all this work and you separate out, like salad dressing will separate oil and vinegar. You're separating out all your tension, but then if you don't release that through the tension release practice, then life shakes you back up and it's all mixed in again. So maybe that was in there, maybe not. And so like we have to keep doing this practice continually. It's a flushing exercise, as we know. It's literally like flushing out the byproduct, just like going to the bathroom. It's a continual process, and it is what refines our mechanism. And that ultimately we're searching for this state of being, um, that through this conscious effort where we're actually growing and changing and functioning. This is where he ends, while we are growing. We're still functioning while we're growing. It's pretty cool. I think I've actually asked that question before, you know. So there you have it. A little recap, which I don't think we've ever done before, of Rudi's satsang. Hopefully that gives you a lot to work with in your journal. So now we will take 2 to 3 minutes and you can write a little bit about what interests you and what you might like to share. All right, maybe just 30 more seconds. And if I remember correctly, Mahavir, you prefer to draw pictures because you spent your whole career writing. So if you want to share your picture, please feel free. I always love to see those. I think the last one was of Bart Simpson. All right. So yeah, now read through what you wrote and underline a key word or phrase that you feel like might summarize what you wrote somehow. And you can just type in that keyword or phrase on the chat. And anybody in the room, if you just sort of holler out the word, I'll type it. Cool. Yes. Okay, go for it. Yeah. I feel like go. Cool. Good. Okay. All right, let's get a little read here. Oh, wow, there's a lot. Okay. Release, live, freedom, becoming, continuous, refinement, full body exercise, higher self, release, like the incense, I feel it go, in between, trust, tension release is doing me, continual, being, unexpected. I had an amazing change, constant change. Excellent. All right. Well, let's not waste any time. Would anyone like to elaborate on their key word? And that goes for anybody in this room as well. We do have, whoops, a microphone. Go ahead and unmute if you're ready out there. Go for it, Yogita.
I had made this decision before class, and now I totally felt different about the decision after doing this exercise. It's just totally amazing, the change. And I wasn't thinking about it and trying to figure before. I was trying to figure it out and stuff. But I knew I needed to meditate. This is exactly what I needed. I just let it go, and then I saw it clearly. So,
Thanks, Yogita. It's
as
wonderful.
before, I was seeing it like with all my tensions, and now when that screen cleared, I could see it clearly.
Yeah, it's amazing how much of a necessity this aspect of our practice is. This flushing aspect. It's like we just keep doing our practice and churning stuff up, and sometimes even that becomes like a screen. Wow, glad to hear it. Anonymous, thanks.
So I've been under a lot of tension also for a few months. And a couple of weeks ago, I thought, oh, I haven't been doing the tension release. And I never really had a huge experience with it. But I have been feeling so much better and so much more centered and so much clearing out. So this was such a great reinforcement of the tension release. I don't think I really experienced it to this degree before this last couple of weeks. So this was very timely. Thank you.
I am right there with you. I feel like I never give tension release enough credit. I don't, it doesn't have a strong enough place in my practice. Even when I do it, it's always just afterthought. But when doing with Rudy, it's just like you really go for it and you're like actually doing it like a practice. And yeah, absolutely. Such a necessity. Yeah, sure. We have a share in the room. The mic's pretty long, but give that a shot. And I'm going to switch to the crowd cam.
Oh,
There you are.
hi everyone. I hope you can hear me. The word I had was prescription, and I felt like that needed some context. But hearing to do tension release on a weekly basis or more if stressed almost felt like a medication prescription. And it's funny because I feel like tension release feels like medication because I have asthma. And sometimes when I get triggered, my lungs are tight. I take my inhaler and I just feel everything relax. And it's the exact same feeling after a tension release. So to me, it's like a healing treatment.
Thank you, Mel.
This is Abaya, and I just want everyone to know Mel, who was just speaking, is a medical doctor. So that just really enhances what she was sharing about tension release being a prescription.
Wow. Yeah. Well, that's amazing that you could feel like the depth of something that you've literally, worked on for years and has this medical equivalent and like through your own practice and obviously some of the the Shakti, we're able to like feel that level of release. That's awesome. Those are the glimpses, today when we were looking at the Yoga Sutras and Patanjali said, uh, through small glimpses of, over time, it's like that's how it happens. Like earlier, I was like, little glimpse here, little glimpse there. Like that's an example. So that's wonderful. How about the crowd cam? Pretty cool. We're all in there. Anyone else want to chime in on their experience or, thoughts on it? Yeah, Dharma.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
So I often do tension release to start a sit, and I'll do it to end a sit. And some of my deepest moments often happen during tension release, as opposed to like if I'm, let's say, doing mantra practice. And I feel like I can go that deep that quickly because it's almost like a visualization of being able to surrender the things that we don't want. And so that seems easier than just surrender. So by consciously surrendering negative psychic tensions, it gives me, again, like that sort of thing that I know isn't serving me to let go of, which seems maybe my mind doesn't have to work with that one. It can just get out of the way and do it.
Nice. Yeah, the visualization aspect is so powerful, which reminds us that, as Rudi always tells us, and as Baba refers to with Rudi, it's tantric practice, right? It's like when you're able to use the inspiration of your horizontal life in this surrendered way to actually help you in this vertical aspiration, like that's when the exponential work happens. Like when you can actually take that visualization and make it real. So it's not just in your head, but it's actually affecting your state of being. Like uh that's what we're working towards. And I feel like the tension release practice is this time where we get to really practice. It's almost like puja. You get to like actually practice this cosmic chemistry where you get to really like try bringing having the horizontal help you with the vertical. Yeah. And you must have really said something because everybody's like, I want to try it. Like I got a couple people in the room were just immediately like, I want that. I want it too. Any last thoughts or comments? Sorry? Okay. You'll have to scoot up though. The cord's only that long. And go into crowd cam. Go ahead.
Hello, Waka. As soon as I learned the tension release practice, I was hooked. And I feel like I really enjoy practicing it quite often. And it's become an experience where with each exhale, it's releasing tension in my body and it creates more centering in my spirit.
Nice. Yeah, it's so true. It's like this practice doesn't just, the things that we learn from it don't just live when we're doing this. It's like you learn how to do, like Mel was saying, like you learn how to like just let things melt out of you. Just, yeah. Uh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, no, no. You have to do it. You got to do it to the mic. We have a last minute comment here.
Random note.
Scoot into the
I
camera.
often
Oh yeah, you're
Hey.
good.
Oh,
You're
there we
actually,
are.
yeah, you're good.
The tension release practice is one that I often find myself smiling all of a sudden. And I always love that. It's like it'll be often after meditation. It just feels like really just filling with this like positive light and just like, this is like how great I can just do this. So yeah, I just wanted to share that.
Thanks, Shiva. What a great final comment. Oh, wonderful. Well, I'm sure we'll all take an extra minute or two here at the conclusion of class to do a little tension release, but want to be respectful of everybody's time. So namaste. And thank you all for making this special. I do have some more planned for next week for Rudy, so I'm excited so we can revisit some more concepts like this. Hope you enjoyed the breaking down of the thoughts, that Rudy shared. Let me know if that was helpful or not. If you want to shoot me an email. But anyway, any announcements before we go? No, we're good. We're all fried. So Ariel,
Are we gonna have a little? Oh,
go ahead.
we're gonna have a little yoga before every class, or what? Or
Yeah,
kind of.
yeah. The first 15 minutes or so will be yoga. So
I'm
cool.
getting used to it.
Yay.
Yeah.
It's my dream. I just feel like so many things would be better if it started with a little bit of yoga. So I'm like, wait, I teach a class. I could start that. So thanks.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Thank you.
Mm.
Shri Ram. Hey, Tage. Thanks for sticking around.
Awesome spinal
Awesome twist, Somebody says.
Yeah. Eat 'em.
molecular bonds between the cells of your spine.
Yeah. Yep, I feel it right there. Gotta get it ready to sit. Have a fun yoga. How's the Jenga? Has the Jenga fallen? It's good. Still playing Jenga.
Yeah. We did a couple of Jenga rounds, but we totally forgot to tell the trainees about it. So we got to get that going. Thanks for the reminder.
Yeah.